Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome back to another live stream. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are having a good weekend and so far a good month in March. So some volatility in the market. This week was a little bit quieter after what happened the week before that, especially on the dollar. Also, we had some movement on the US indices, which continued to move to downside. On Friday, we had a little bit of positivity, of at least some bullishness or some buying pressure on US indices. And we had also gold, which for the first time, it crossed the $3,000 mark, which is a big, important key mark in here on gold, which is interesting, where you see gold moving to downside and maybe have these risk on assets moving lower. So if you are new, feel free to subscribe to the channel, trying to get to 1,000 subs. Like as well, if you do have any asset that you like us to look at, feel free to let me know in the comments. Basically, what you are doing today is the weekly market analysis, try to see where are the best opportunities for the week ahead. So we're going to be looking more into higher time frame opportunities. We are going to go check dollar index and some forex pairs, check the US indices, in particular S&P, Nasdaq, and then DAX as well. A little bit of crypto as well, looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, even a little bit of Solana, and then individual currency pairs I mentioned, and finish with commodities, looking at gold and oil. So yeah, let me know in the comments if there's anything in particular in the level that you want us to take a look together, because that's the purpose of this stream, is for us to try to identify interesting opportunities for the week ahead. Okay, let's start by looking at the news. We can look a little bit of what happened last week, where we had inflation report in the US. We had CPI, which was actually lower than expected. So that's a little bit of positive news that we saw in here in terms of data, which could lead eventually for the Fed to cut rates slightly earlier. Okay, because what's the main concern at this point is the inflation, especially because of the tariffs that Trump is implementing across the world, especially in Canada, Mexico, but maybe threatening as well a little bit of Europe and China, of course, and some commodities. So that can lead into a higher inflation with time. And that's why maybe they're starting to hear some talks about potential recession in the US. Still early to go into that direction. I think one of the main reasons people started to talk about that was because of also the bearish move that we had in US indices, where S&P crossed a minus 10% from all-time highs, Nasdaq as well getting close to that level. So people are starting to get a bit scared in here. And that's why then you start noticing those conversations about potential recession in the US, even though the data is still not there exactly. It's more of a projection than anything else. So yes, this report of lower than expected CPI from 3 was expected 2.9 to 2.8 was actually quite good. We saw a little bit of positivity in the US indices on that exact moment. So that's a little bit of the reading of how the market actually is reacting to this news, which could lead eventually for the Fed to start potentially cutting rates slightly earlier. That's basically the key news or key factor for this week in the market, which is the Fed meeting, FOMC meeting on Wednesday, 19th of March. Okay, so we're going to have the Fed, including also the economic projection. So that's basically the moment where the Fed actually is going to release what they are looking at until the end of the year, mostly. Of course, the years after, but the market at this point is more concerned of what are the Fed projections towards the end of the year. If you guys remember, last time we had the economic projections towards back in December, so it's not every meeting that they announce these projections. Usually, it's every quarter. So, yes, if you remember, in December there was an expectation that maybe just one rate cut until the end of the year. Okay, and that actually has shifted a little bit at this point. At least the market, and when you're looking at it, it's already looking for a potential 2 to 3 rate cuts. Okay, so the market at this point we have a 4.5%. So I think in July or June, that's a projection for the first rate cut. Okay, so in here, you can see around 57%. And then I think in September, we go into potentially the second rate cut for 4%. And by the end of the year, you may have maybe another one or just keep it at the 4%. Okay, so at this point, it's between 3.75 to 4% with a 33%, basically 60% the odds combined within those two levels. When in December, it was just one rate cut. And that's a little bit of the potential divergence between what the market is anticipating and what the Fed may do. Fed Powell already mentioned several times that it's actually looking to see or waiting to see what Trump actually is going to do in terms of the tariffs, what actually the reality of the actions from Trump, because there has been a lot of talk, but not exactly implementation of the measures. So, and in addition to that, then it needs to readjust a little bit to see how actually the market is going to react to it. Okay, because it's not going to be just the news itself or the measures. It's also how the market actually eventually is going to react towards that. So that's something to pay attention. Continuation for this week is that we're going to have also, even before that, on Wednesday in the morning, is going to have Bank of Japan interest rate. Usually they are more on Thursday, Friday, but apparently it's going to be on a Wednesday. Anticipation to be exactly the same interest rate. And then you're going to have also in Switzerland and also in the UK, where in Switzerland I'm looking to another rate cut from 0.5 to 2.5% to 0.25%, sorry. So quite aggressive the rate cuts in here in Switzerland, but then in the UK expecting to remain exactly the same at around 4.5%. And then you're going to have a few more news in regards to the UK, where you're going to have also, if not mistaken, unemployment, maybe CPI. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe not. Maybe that's not sure. Yeah, unemployment here on Thursday. That's basically it. Okay, so as you can see, it's going to be quite a volatile week ahead in terms of news. So now that we know that we're going to have some volatility, especially around Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we can start looking ahead and try to see what we can expect from the market. So yes, 2 weeks ago, we had that big sell-off. Basically, the first week of March, we had a big sell-off. Last week, it was a little bit more of a ranging market with the dollar still breaking this low in here. In my opinion, the dollar still wants to go further down. But as I mentioned as well last week, we could potentially see a little bit of a retracement here before price actually continues to drop and potentially can even go way further down, closer maybe to this level in here. So with the CPI, we did actually manage to respect this level. This was actually kind of an interesting zone in there, which may actually still be fresh slightly, who knows. But now we have actually kind of two touches in here, makes it a bit weaker. So if price does want to move or continue to push a little bit more to the downside, it could. Something else that we also have in here on dollar index is that we actually started to break some highs. So that was something that we start noticing as well. As you can see in here, we basically start breaking a little bit of structure. Initially kind of was a little bit of the break of this one, then price created that move and now pushed higher, and now we actually managed to break above this high again. Not even just once, we actually then broke again a second time in there. Now we can maybe say that this is an important structure in here where price actually may be still reacting, or maybe I've actually missed that level just yet with this decision point in here to be more precise. But nevertheless, it's already some kind of a break a little bit to the upside, which can lead eventually to a bigger move up. But overall, the trend, in my opinion, I don't think price has reached the final destination. In here, I think price still wants to go a little bit lower, even though, as you know, after we do manage to break an important low visible on the daily, week, and so on, usually you can have a little bit of retracement just to try to maybe look for new selling orders before pushing lower. So that may happen in here. We'll see what's going to happen. it's going to be, at this point, it's a little bit hard to predict exactly the play in here. If price was already getting closer to the top or the bottom, then maybe I could start predicting a potential reversal or deeper reversal. At this point, I believe it's still kind of a more a continuation setup, which maybe price can even break this wall first. Price can even do stuff like this. It can maybe break the wall first, maybe react from some other demand zone in here on the left side, and then maybe can go higher a little bit, maybe fake out now the structure, and then maybe just continue to push lower one more time. Maybe this is just the beginning of a potential range that eventually is going to be still faked out into a bigger continuation to the downside. So that's that's a potential play in here. Maybe eventually price can even retest, of course, this potential previous level. So yeah, it's a little bit more of maybe have the bias, but try to see also on a daily basis where the opportunity is. And in here, personally, I think it's still more in a continuation setup to downside in a bigger picture. Because even though maybe you can even use some kind of Fibonacci, many people like to use Fibonacci. Yeah, price already is even already below the, yeah, it's below the 61.8 and it's still far away from 78. Just a few levels that people like to look at. I don't really care too much about that. Looking at US indices. Okay, what do we have in here? Okay, so what do we have in here? We had finally S&P dropping around the 10% mark, okay? So it's actually a little bit more than 10%, and that start to create ring the alarms across the market, many investors, media as well, and so on, right? So if you actually look at the daily, at the 200 moving average, there you go, a clear break to downside. That's maybe basically, as I mentioned as well during the stream when it happened, that most likely we're going to start seeing in the market a lot of people starting to talk about the bearish market or recession and so on, which is a little bit of what happened. The reality is that I had this clear level in here on the S&P that I was looking for. I mentioned that, right? I mentioned that most likely all these looks like compressed. Maybe there's a little bit of a demand zone in here. Price still bounced from it, kept respecting the high, and then eventually start breaking. And now it fell. It filled the compression in here, which is great. Now it reacted really nice from this demand zone, which was one of the targets. Can definitely still go even a little bit lower if it wants to. But for now, the first initial trade that we could have in there, it happened. What did we have also in alignment with that? And that's where this pattern it's beautiful to look for, because it starts happening just above the key level that you want to look for a trade, which was that demand zone. So what we're having here is that you start having a little bit of a range. We have another break of low, we have price respecting, and then finally we have a little bit of a break to the upside, which maybe this breaking into the upside may start looking for a potential long in here, or start to because we see the breakout structure, so many people start positioning as long. I was inclusive as actually looking for a long as well. Actually still with a lower expectation in terms of the target. I was still not looking for the complete reversal, because in terms of the pattern that I like to see, it's a breakout structure, but then still the fake out of the low, and I was completely aware of the space that was still open towards that demand zone. But yes, I was actually trying to still look for an opportunity here, because we did have this liquidity with this double low in there, and price actually then ended up reacting. But from here, it only reacted all the way through the previous supply level. It was in here. So that actually it was the target of this potential setup. It will be this next structure, not yet all the way through to go and respect the break of this structure we design and continue. Maybe that could happen now. So then finally we had the fake out into the level that you mentioned on the left side, and potentially one of the trades. Again, it will be exactly that. Something like this I didn't really manage to get into. Actually on Friday I tried to go long a few times, but never really managed to get in. Again, my strength is not really to look for trend continuation setups. There's a few missed entries by a little bit. it is what it is, but this was more of the play that I wanted. This reversal in here, it happened kind of a little bit in the evening, and what I was looking for then was potentially for price to come back into this level and to look for price to fill this range at least once more. But from here, yes, from here I could actually already see the potential of price going even higher than this high, which could be really interesting. In here, basically what you have now is basically this left shoulder and that left shoulder as well, and then you have these two zones in there. So yes, in my opinion, maybe there was still that demand zone. That's why I actually was looking for price to potentially still retrace back to this level, which never really happened. It can still happen in the future. We will see. We'll see exactly what may happen or not from around this level on the S&P, but it was already kind of a target reached in here by the end of last Friday. So there you go. Exactly the moment that everyone starts to be a little bit of concern and start to scream about a potential recession in the US and bearish market, actually this is the moment where the buyers are starting to jump into it, a really good level, into that bigger demand zone, maybe even some kind of support resistance before that. But there you go, price filling the first space available in here. It has definitely the potential to go even higher, and maybe again for some people that likes to use Fibonacci's in here, maybe can even start looking for a potential 38.2 or at least 50% retracement into a potential continuation to the downside. If this 38.2 basically it goes in alignment with this previous level of support resistance in here, yeah, 23.6 basically that's where price is at this point. Now we did have many or quite a strong compression on the way down in here, which means that price eventually could actually start breaking and going a little bit more to the upside, and it can go potentially even fill out these ranges here. Yeah, who knows? So at this point, basically just to look a little bit at this, maybe can have a little bit of a fake out above this top into this structure, and then we actually start looking for price potentially to go all the way into here. So yep, we'll see what's going to happen. If price by any chance breaks above this, comes back into this level in here and finds some buying pressure again, it could be a possibility. Now, what is the main difference between what we are looking in here on the S&P and Nasdaq? Okay, so the situation is that Nasdaq managed to continue to respect the same lows that were created on S&P in the beginning of the week, which means that Nasdaq also has this exactly level in here that eventually in the future may want to go towards to, but for now Nasdaq is still trading just underneath this break of low that happened back in the days in here. So Nasdaq still has this gap that potentially still needs to fill, while S&P already filled that. So if by any chance Nasdaq does want to continue to move lower and fill this gap in here that the S&P already did, maybe S&P will be able to go even lower than this low and maybe get a little bit closer into this extreme. Okay, so Nasdaq may react again from this upper edge of this level, exactly where S&P is reacting right now, but when that happens, then on the S&P, maybe we can go all the way in here. Or the other situation is that we're actually going to see a little bit more of bearishness on Nasdaq. And what that would lead is that, okay, Nasdaq now actually going to fill out this range in here, but the S&P may just go to react from this level in here when the Nasdaq has maybe that bigger move. Okay, for that we need to see a little bit more of bearishness strength to the downside on Nasdaq in order to do that. So this is what I mean. Okay, as you can see in here, Nasdaq managed to break that low in there, maybe reacting a little bit from that level, but it definitely still has this level in here, which is fresh. Okay, so S&P already filled this, Nasdaq didn't. So Nasdaq managed to continue to respect this level. What we had also before is that, as you can see in here, Nasdaq had already started to break also highs to the upside, not just the first time. They already broke maybe in here and then again in there, which leaves a little bit of space towards that level. We did manage to go all the way with this low, but this low just basically fake out this one in the middle into that next zone. Okay. So after that, there you go, push to the upside as well. and you are a little bit back into this range in here. When you're looking at Nasdaq, what we have in here in terms of retracement, if you take a look basically from that high, we have around a 14%, which can of course be potentially closer to a 15% retracement. So that's a little bit of what we have in here on us. Is there anything still at this level? Potentially there's still a level in here at the demand zone, but it starts definitely to be way too many lows in the moment. And you already know that usually when that happens, then you potentially can have the fake out of all of this structure, and it can finally go maybe into that other demand zone. So at this point, expecting maybe these highs to be broken, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. It looks like that price already retested a few times this level on the way down, when price was moving down, sorry. So in here, it's still holding a little bit, but it can definitely break, and price can actually starting to aim a little bit more to the upside in here. So again, for anyone that really likes Fibonacci's, you can maybe draw some kind of like this. We are looking at 38.2 still quite high, and the 50 it's around this previous structure. But eventually, price could go towards 2 as well. So that's a little bit of the US indices. We may have a little bit of buying pressure, potentially before price continues to move to the downside. That's how I'm starting to position. We had Dow as well, completely breaking, respecting the break of this low in here. Yeah, going all the way down. Now it's reacting from some kind of a random level in there. Nothing really that stands out to me personally. Maybe some kind of demand zone in here on the day or maybe weekly. But potentially can also continue to move a bit more lower, not the downside. Potentially can go into this zone. And then we have DAX, which is also approaching again the top. So we did manage to break kind of below that low, but still within this bigger structure in here. Maybe this can be some kind of a quasi-mode where you have the left shoulder, the low, the fake out. And then you have the break of the low, and maybe price wants to retrace back into this level. So it's something to keep an eye on, even though price kind of respected quite nicely these lows in here after the fake out. So that can be a little bit into bullishness. But I wouldn't mind at all to see potentially DAX kind of coming back somewhere around this level, and potentially then finding new selling pressure, or can even break the highs, to be honest, and then maybe we can have another move lower. So as you can see, trading within this area at this point. Yeah, even FTSE 100, it has also behaved quite nicely in the last few weeks, kind of breaking off them highs, but then kind of reversing straight away into it with nice middle moves. And now retested these lows in here, finding some buying pressure. We'll see how price may react eventually from those levels. Looking at crypto. Oh, okay. So crypto and Bitcoin in particular now finally reacted actually from the demand zone. Okay, so basically that low didn't really reacted from it, but now this low in here created this week on Monday, Tuesday, it actually reacted quite nicely. To be honest, we are getting really close to this previous all-time high in here at around 73, basically 74. But now this is actually the demand zone. As you can see, when looking into the war time frame, where the previous low reacted was kind of a bit in the middle, now it reacted a little bit more into the demand zone, respecting it actually quite nicely. Since then, price actually started to find some buying pressure. Curious to see how price may react around this angle in here. Yeah, we'll see. Of course, there's still also the potential for trace back into this level, and there's definitely the potential also price continue to move a little bit lower. So that's something to keep an eye on. Quite correlated perhaps with the S&P as well. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on crypto. But looking at the Ethereum finally filled this range in here. So it filled that range that we have in there, the compression. So it did that, and now is reacting. Well, after it did that, it started to finding some buy pressure. I wouldn't mind at all to see the still price, in this case Ethereum, coming a little bit lower into this next level, I wouldn't mind at all to see that. So that's something to keep an eye, and then we'll see also price may react from within this level, which can still hold price a little bit lower. So basically for the last basically this week or so, price has been trading within this range without really moving all the way from the 11 all the way until now. So basically 4 or 5 days where it's been trading just within this range. Can definitely go up, react from it, and push down again. The same way that potentially can even fake out this low and still react from this as well. But I would like actually to see price Ethereum in this case going a little bit lower before moving higher. And then we have Solana as well, still respecting this this low in here. Again, we had a massive move to the downside. If you actually just consider that you are reaching at around 60% move to the downside, but now it's finding some support at around these lows. So we'll see what will happen, to be honest, from here. Good reaction from this supply. Might not be the last one. Potential price may wants to go a little bit higher, but we'll see how price may react from around this level in here. We'll see. With the total market quite similar as well. Dominance actually gaining a little bit more. Okay, let's take a look at the individual currency pairs. So we're going to start with euro dollar. Sorry. There. Yeah, euro dollar in here. So what you have is it's basically price moving to the upside, just similar to dollar index, but the opposite. Okay, so we had that same break of structure in here with the potential to continue to move higher. Basically price retraced, reacted a little bit from this level with the potential to continue to move higher again. So that's basically what we have at this point. Potentially some kind of range that you could create is something somewhere around this level, but also considering that price still is respecting even that structure in there. So I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if we do continue to see more bullishness on the euro. I mentioned maybe already several times that maybe that level is one of my favorites to potentially look for a trade, somewhere around here above this top. So that's potentially a nice zone that price could eventually go towards to. That's the main gap in here that you can see between the structures, where price basically just reacted from or got really close to this level of support resistance without really reacting from the supply. So that's something to look for. Yeah, if price does want to move over, then we'll see. Kind of start to break again this low and potentially that one. Maybe then we can look for a bigger move down. In here, price kind of hold that level quite nicely. I could see eventually price, in my opinion, there's maybe still a little bit of a zone in there that price could go and react from. But at this point, I wouldn't really expect too much from it. We did manage to break an important high, and I could still see euro dollar moving a little bit more to the upside. It depends on the opening. The price keeps respecting this level and starts wanting to go lower, then we're going to position ourselves in that way. Pound, it's a bit more of the same as well. So pound still kind of reacting from within this level. I would like to see pound perhaps going a little bit closer to here, or even a little bit higher. To be honest, this looks like a little bit more of a mid zone in here, where I could eventually see pound moving more to the upside. the zone itself, where we can maybe look for the range, or yeah, for the structuring here. Price may have actually broken a little bit at level. It's okay. May just mostly be used in the future. I'm actually curious about this this demand zone. And euro on the pound, they've been moving a little bit slightly different, but overall in the bigger picture, I could still see a little bit more of bullishness, to be honest. So that is something to pay attention to. We are looking at euro pound. Euro pound actually has been moving a little bit nicely. So we made out this move, right? So we filled out that range, and now it's finding some selling pressure as it got closer to this top. It already made a nice move to the downside from the top, basically retesting out this previous structuring here as well. And we'll see what's going to happen now. Is there going to be more selling pressure here? Is euro pound finally going to start? Finally, I mean, it's starting to be like that. Whereas you can see in here how many times price kind of goes within these ranges. So fake out, kind of comes back in here, spend a lot of time, fills this range, and maybe perhaps it's going to be moving like this again. Or is price going to finally respect actually this move to the upside, and from here is going to actually now move higher. Now that kind of is respected these lows, finding again a little bit of a selling pressure in there, but potentially could continue to move higher. So we'll see what will happen in here on euro pound. Aussie dollar. Honestly, I haven't really paid attention that much. I paid attention quite a lot back in January and even February, but since basically price started to move to the downside from here, I didn't really pay much more attention. Still kind of within this range. I wouldn't mind if price goes higher, but it's literally in the middle in here, and I'm not really interested whatsoever in any of these levels to look for anything. So I want to I would like to see this Aussie dollar evolving a little bit more. Goes quite similar to New Zealand as well. So it looks like that maybe New Zealand is ready to actually move to the upside. And kind of after that move in here, we did manage to break as well, but now kind of respecting a bit of structure. But it could eventually continue to move a little bit more to the upside from here. Basically, it respected this low, initial reaction from this support resistance, and now it's finding some bullishness. So we'll see if we're going to finally manage to break above that level and maybe getting into this next range in here, next structure. So yeah, paying attention to when eventually price is going to break above this level. Wait. So we'll see. But New Zealand does look like the price wants to go a little bit more to the upside. We can look at pound Aussie and euro Aussie as well. So they're actually finding some selling pressure, which maybe can lead also for the Aussie to go, or for the Aussie dollar to go higher. But it's interesting. We kind of respected all these tops in there. So that's something that eventually could be faked out, for example, even though we did manage to break below that low. So kind of nice retest and now price pushing to the downside. So we are getting really close to some structure in here, so just pick out this top as well. Potentially can even go a little bit more to the upside as well. Basically, one of the next zones is going to be somewhere around this level on pound Aussie. We'll see what's going to happen in there. Euro Aussie also moving in an interesting way. A little bit of selling pressure at this point. After the fake out of this top, reacting from there, and now it's finding some selling pressure. There's maybe something still in here to be played at, and then I'm looking for price to go there. Those are just a few plays that I'm starting to pay attention to. Then you have the yen pairs, and the yen pairs. Yeah, actually, I forgot to look at it. So we have the yen index. So the yen index, it was quite clear initially the play that we had in here, where actually we had the break to the downside, price retest, respect to that level, and then price reacting from this low or breaking this low again, Okay, so we already had kind of the first one, price retested, really nice, almost basically quasi molding here, then push downside, broke new low, kind of retest to respect to this top, and now kind of trying to push lower again, which means that, in my opinion, this one does want still to move to the downside, and that can lead to more bullishness on individual yen pairs. Now, this level in here was actually already left behind twice, not even here, not even there, so basically twice that price never really got to that level. So in my opinion, it's still fresh in there, or kind of still available. So we'll see price does want to push a little bit more lower, break this low again, and eventually have a deeper retracement. So that can still happen in here on the yen index. But so far, it's kind of an interesting move in here. Now price is reacting from here. Price definitely can go still a little bit more to the upside, but for now, it's not at a bad level. So yes, that can lead into more bearishness in there. And then we have the euro index as well, which is interesting as we are looking at euro pairs. So the way I looked at it is that price may have broken into this compression, which means that price must still want to go actually higher. However, within this compression, we do have a few supply levels that were still fresh, one being this one, the other one maybe being that one, which means that we could anticipate some kind of reaction from within those levels. And that's basically what happened. So price reacted really nicely from here, price moved to the downside, and within this range still to see what may happen next. So it went up, retraced, and maybe a broken between these levels, so can go a little bit lower, respected one more time that top. So we'll see what's going to happen next. We do have this demand zone. Again, bigger picture, maybe still higher, but eventually we could have maybe a deeper retracement. But for now, maybe we could go a little bit more to the upside as well and challenge a little bit more into the next level. We'll see what euro dollar is going to do in that regard. So now we're talking about the yen pairs. So if by any chance the yen index does want still to go a little bit lower, then you can look for this one to go a little bit higher. However, the problem with the dollar yen is that maybe the dollar index may want also to go lower to potentially before actually making the bigger move down. So if you have dollar wanting to move lower and the yen potentially moving lower, this one's going to be a bit more in that kind of a range. Now price reacted really nice from that level. Price is also reacting really nice from that demand zone in here. So we will see. We'll see what's going to happen. We did manage to break now an important structure, which eventually could lead into more bearishness. And so that's definitely something to bear in mind. So yes, we'll see. We'll see what will happen around here. Definitely a pair that we can keep an eye on, either for a potential continuation, but if price does break some kind of important structure, maybe we can even respect one more time, even though I'm not entirely sure if price does respect this well. But again, if we're not actually going to have a continuation to the downside. Then you have euro yen, which continue. So we did manage to break above that top. Price retraced, react really nicely from this level, then breaking again highs, and eventually again looking at the dollar yen or euro yen, these guys, we can definitely continue to push higher. Maybe start aiming a little bit closer to something in there. So we'll see. This level in here was maybe left behind. So if prices want to have a little bit more of a deeper retracement, maybe can. Faking out this low is a possibility. Yeah, we may have managed to break slightly that top. So we're going to have BOG as well this Wednesday, and then straight after that FOMC in the evening. So that's going to be quite an interesting day for these yen pairs. Pound yen may continues to go as well, so kind of still respecting those demand zones, kind of literally everything in the moment in here. Price anytime it goes up, comes down to respect the demand. Maybe that's the next one. Yeah, we'll see. Bigger picture may still wants to go lower, but for now may wants to go higher before moving lower again. That's an interesting one to pay attention. And then you go into CAD pairs, and dollar CAD continues within this range. So with respect to that level, again, out the uncertainty between Canada and US and whatnot, we had also interest rate decision in Canada, another from 3 to 2.75, so another rate cut. which created a bit more volatility. Nice little move from this left shoulder. Price started to break some lows. We'll see price eventually goes or gets closer into this level in here. It's another one that I haven't really paid much attention to actually trade it. Euro CAD can be potentially at a better interesting level, so it's reacting from this top in here. So maybe could start changing a bit of the dynamics to potentially look for a short after such a big move. Actually, that could have already happened, to be honest. Yeah, price now basically reacting from this level. It still has that one a little bit higher. The price could go. May have broken some lows, some trend lines, so potentially can even push a bit more to the downside. Something to bear in mind in here. As then you're looking at pound CAD, it goes a little bit more of the same, where we have price basically reacting from something in here on the left, which is related to COVID, not COVID, sorry, to Brexit. It's basic 2016. Cannot go lower than 4 hours, so that's basically the maximum I can go. Let's basically fake out of this level in here, and potential price can go a little bit higher to see what's going to happen. Nevertheless, what you have in here is now kind of at the top. Price starting to break some lows that was already happening, and now kind of a continuation, and still leaving exactly the same level on the Euro CAD and left behind in here on the pound CAD as well. So that's something interesting. It can lead to a short, definitely. Okay, looking at dollar franc Swiss. Slowly goes higher as well. Still respected that structure. So slowly in a really strong compression move, it's moving higher, and eventually can lead into a short. Just the way price is moving to the upside, that can definitely lead into an interesting short in here eventually. Maybe he wants to go a little bit higher before making a bigger move to the downside. So yeah, you can feel it quite quickly because it's literally clear zone of compression in there. And then you have gold as well that we can look at. So there you go. We had the break. We had the break to the upside. There were maybe two levels in here that was still interested in. So this was one of them. That was another one. We saw price reacting from both of them. So reacted in here. But then basically you had this previous level support resistance. So basically price respected it. It went higher again, respected also that level. But then it kept respecting this low, and then price could continue to move higher. This is a small manipulation, and then the big push higher. So there you go, it broke the 3K mark. Okay, so 3K mark is somewhere around there. So it broke that level, and now it's starting to find a little bit of selling pressure. Yeah, I'm not really interested in trading at this point, this level. Eventually, I could see price retracing back into here, basically where the previous highs were, and from here we may have a potential long opportunity to look for. Yeah, and then oil, just to finalize with oil. So gold potentially just continue to look for price breaking highs, more volatility around those tops. Oil, it's an interesting one. So price continue to respect this level. Now it's literally trading within this range at around 65 to 68. We did manage to break that low, not yet the low from 2023, but we could potentially continue to move a bit more to the downside. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Not the biggest fan of this PA in here. Yeah, wait and see. We are having a little bit of breaks of structure, but not really anything that stands out. That one was as well. Again, we'll see what will happen in there. That's basically it. Yeah, that's basically it for this. That's basically it for this week. Just to recap, US indices, I think we can be closer to. Actually, we are already in an interesting level to look for a potential bounce to the upside. S&P already provided that on Friday, and Nasdaq continue to respect that. Attention to that, what I mentioned in regards to potentially Nasdaq still feeling this zone in here, while S&P already filled it. So potentially S&P may go all the way towards more of this zone in here, or just keeps respecting this low instead, while Nasdaq still has the potential to break the lows into that exact demand zone where S&P is reacting. And if we start breaking a bit more to the upside, maybe we can start opening the door to get actually closer to those 50% retracement, maybe closer to this previous level support resistance. If it comes back into this level again, especially if it breaks this high but then comes back all the way into here, maybe there's a long in there, still within these lows without the need to maybe break the lows. So that goes out in alignment with the Nasdaq as well. DAX potentially maybe wait for the fake out of the top, or just sell price may react from this size, broke structure, broke low, but still kind of within this level. Then we have the dollar, which in my opinion still wants to go a little bit lower in the bigger picture, so eventually we can have a continuation, but maybe this is enough. Maybe price just respects the supply, goes down, and then fakes out and eventually comes up back up to fake out this point here and move over. Takes it into the euro as well, potentially more upside. Pound as well, potentially more upside. Aussie, New Zealand, potentially more upside. And gold is doing what gold does. It's just moving at all-time highs, and we'll see what kind of volatility we're going to have in there. So yeah, with that being said, that's basically everything for me. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, guys. That's my review, how I'm going to be positioning myself, and then on a daily basis, of course, going to keep updating and try to see with more detail into the lower time frame where are those opportunities. Yeah, perfect. So enjoy your Sunday, enjoy your evening, be prepared for a great and amazing week of trading. Thank you very much, guys. Bye bye. See you.